Hey everyone, ready to dive in? Today we're tackling AI and putting it to the test with a logic puzzle you might have heard of. Cheryl's birthday.
Ah, Cheryl's birthday, right. It seems straightforward, but it gets to the heart of how we think, how we deduce things.
It really does. A few clues about Cheryl's birthday given to her friends Albert and Bernard, and bam, we've got to use those to crack the code. It's a classic for a reason. And that's what makes it so fascinating to throw at AI. This study took 9 different AI chatbots. Big names like ChatGPT, Copilot, you name it. Their goal, solve it, sure, but then write a program that could solve it too, just like a human programmer would.
And that's where it gets really interesting. Because most of the AIs, they figured out Cheryl's birthday, it's July 16th, by the way, for those playing along at home, but none of them, not a single one, could write that program.
Hold on, so they aced the puzzle itself, but when it came to showing their work, explaining the how?
It's like they knew the answer but couldn't tell you how they got there. The human programmer, though, that was different.
Okay, so our human competitor, what approach did they take?
They really focused on how your knowledge changes with each new bit of info. Think of it like a detective, right? Every clue, they're updating their theories, narrowing down the suspects. And this programmer, they coded a solution based on that same idea, constantly adjusting to what's revealed.
So the AIs, they were missing that adaptability.
Exactly. Like they could spit out the answer, but not break it down, show the steps, the logic. That's a huge difference.
It really is. Anyone can memorize an answer, but explaining your reasoning, that's next level. So how did the human actually do it, approach the puzzle differently?
They use something called belief states. Imagine like a detective's whiteboard. Yeah, every new clue that comes in, you update what each suspect might know, eliminate possibilities. It's constantly shifting. And that's key to solving Cheryl's birthday. And that's where the AI really struggled.
So they were stuck kind of like looking at each clue in isolation instead of seeing how they all fit together as part of this bigger picture, this shifting landscape.
Exactly. They missed the forest for the trees. And this gap between just giving the right answer and truly understanding how humans think, that's a big deal.
All right, you've got me hooked. I want to hear more about these AI attempts. How'd they try to handle the programming, even if they didn't quite get there?
So we looked at the code these AIs were generating, and there's this, like, pattern, right? They get stuck on those initial dates trying to make the first few clues fit. But when it comes to actually updating their knowledge, like that detective's whiteboard we were talking about, that's where they fall apart.
It's like they hit a wall, run out of steam.
Yeah. They're following the recipe, but as soon as they need to think on their feet, adjust to what's happening, it all goes wrong.
And it's funny you mentioned that because ChatGPT, with all its conversational skills, it actually did an okay job explaining the logic, like, walking through the steps, but the actual coding.
Couldn't quite connect the dots, translate that understanding into something repeatable. Yeah. And ChatGPT wasn't alone, right? Copilot, another strong one, it fell into the same trap, got stuck in this loop, filtering days and months, missing the bigger picture of how each new piece of information should have changed its approach.
So both of them tripped up by the complexity. Were there any AI attempts that stood out, even if they didn't totally nail it?
There were a couple interesting ones. Hugging Face, for example, it tried using a class definition in its code. It's like creating these labeled boxes to hold different pieces of information and connect them.
Okay, so more organized. Did it help?
Showed some promise, but ultimately, even with that, Hugging Face couldn't quite grasp those belief states, those constantly shifting knowns and unknowns.
So consistent problem across the board. None of the AIs really got how knowledge is dynamic, how it evolves, even in a puzzle like this. So what does that tell us about AI today, and why should anyone listening care?
Well, and this is the thing. It's not just about a logic puzzle, right? This highlights this real bottleneck in how we're developing AI, that ability to dynamically update what it knows, like we do in Cheryl's birthday. This theory of mind gap, it's got big implications for how AI fits into our lives.
So bigger than just Cheryl's birthday. We're talking about like the nature of intelligence itself. It's like we're so busy teaching AI to do things, but are we teaching it to actually like think?
That's the question, isn't it? This idea of weak AI versus strong AI.
Yeah.
What we have now, it's weak. Amazing at specific tasks. Yeah, playing chess, writing, but not really understanding the way we do.
And strong AI, that's like the next level. Self-aware machines, the stuff of sci-fi.
Exactly. And Cheryl's birthday.
Yeah.
It kind of suggests we're not there yet. These AIs, they can crunch numbers, follow rules, but that human ability to learn as you go, adjust your thinking. Still missing.
And that theory of mind thing, that's got to be a huge deal, right? Not just for AI understanding us, but for it actually, like, existing with us in the world.
Huge. Think about, like, self-driving cars. Everyone talks about them. You need AI that can handle all those weird, nuanced social situations on the road, predicting what a human driver might do, not just reacting to what's happening right that second. So if it's struggling with Cheryl's birthday, it makes you wonder about those bigger challenges.
It's almost like we're so wowed by what AI can do, we forget to ask if it even knows why it's doing it.
That's it. For AI to really integrate into our lives, it needs that theory of mind to get our motivations, our dot messiness, even when we're not logical. That's human.
Man, this deep dive, we went from a birthday party to, like, the core of what makes us human. Mind-blowing. Sounds like we've got a long way to go before AI really catches up.
And that's what makes it so exciting, right?
Yeah.
Every experiment, every success, every time it stumbles like this, we learn a little more about them, about ourselves.
Well, listeners, that's our deep dive for today. But we're leaving you with this. If Cheryl's birthday can trip up AI like this, what other tests can we cook up? How do we push AI's theory of mind further? What'll it take to bridge that gap, from artificial intelligence to real understanding? Something to think about. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep.